Welcome back to Tactical Insight, welcome back to AFTV. Arsenal, I've got to say it, I think they are the greatest team in the world on the final day of the season when there's no pressure. There's no one better. Not Barcelona 2011, not United's treble winners, not this Man City team. You play Arsenal on the final day of the season when there's no pressure at all. They're going to absolutely obliterate you. And we saw it again yesterday, Graham.
Yes, a season of regret ended at the Emirates yesterday, James, for Arsenal. Has to be a season of regret, I'm afraid, because when you lead the league title for 248 days and don't win the Premiership, it has to be a season of regret. But there was also much to savour about this season, the evolution of the team under Mikel Arteta and the football we played and the moments that we created, which I thoroughly enjoyed watching this season. And I think although Arsenal didn't win the Premiership trophy this year, they gave Man City a great run for their money. What they did win this year, well, I thought, was they won back the fans. And that was evident yesterday at the end of the game when the players did their lap round the pitch and Mikel Arteta came on the microphone to speak to the fans. The atmosphere in the stadium, the love for Arteta and the team was absolutely amazing. So, you know, the fact that we've won back the fans, I think, puts us in a position, I think, to go again next season. And I think in the end, fittingly, the team put on a fine performance yesterday, swept aside a very timid Wolves by 5 goals.
It's a season of so many positives. Listen, you're right, regret for the opportunity we had and not taking it, but so many positives for me in terms of how far this team's developed, in terms of some of the targets that me and you discussed going into the season, what we wanted to see. I'm happy to say they've hit all of them. I perhaps wanted a little bit better in the cups, but in terms of the league, the more goals, the more points, everything like that, we will discuss that a little bit. It's also been a tactically fascinating season. Now, the big breakdown on what Arsenal did well tactically, that will come next week, where we're going to look at the whole season. We are just going to really focus on Wolves today, because there's plenty to talk about in this game as well. And as always, we start with our match stats. Here they are. And they're predictably dominant in Arsenal's favour. 8 shots of our 15 were on target. They didn't have a single shot on target. A nice, easy day for Ramsdale in the sun. 51% possession. That does surprise me. I thought we had a little bit more. 449 passes, they're 428. But the XG tells you everything, 2.40 to 0.45. Let's have a look at some of the attacking stats. More detail on how we attacked Wolves. 50 final third entries to their 17, 8 high turnovers to their 1, 20 zone 14 touches to their 5, and 71% field tilts in favour of Arsenal. And we have a little look at the defensive stats as well to round it all off. 16 tackles to their 9, 2 interceptions to their 2, 15 clearances to their 22, 9.7 passes per defensive action to their 11.3. Very dominant for Arsenal, and they did it in with an 11 that we had been. I want to really specify this. So I know you're smiling and laughing. We were critical. I think I might have to rewatch last week's Tactical Insight show. We were critical of Arsenal's execution of the system last week. Not so much that Arteta tried something different, but it did work against Wolves.
Yeah, it did. And I think one of the reasons it worked against Wolves, obviously, I think because I think going away to Nottingham Forest last, it was always going to be a very difficult game. They played with a back 5 and they stopped us in the half spaces. And they were prepared to give us the ball. You know, I think that we struggled in the system last week. I think when the teams come out on yesterday, I'll be honest with you, I thought, surely he's not going to go with this lineup again. But because I thought it would be like a 4-1-5 build-up.
Sure.
So it looked to me at the start, both teams came out in a 4-3-3. Arsenal, I thought, were going to build up in a 4-1-5. But what happened in the game was Arsenal, in fact, carried on playing in this 3-2-5 build-up that we've been playing all season. So, and how they did that was Thomas Partey inverted, and Jorginho flipped across really to where Zinchenko would play. So, and White would come out to the right-hand side. So there's our back 3, White, Gabriel and Kivor. There's our 2 for the first phase of build-up, Partey and Jorginho. And there's our 5 lanes up high. That's what he's been going with all season. And I thought, what happened in this game was Wolves, who in the past when I watched Wolves, they've always played with a back 5. And I know they've gone to a back 4 this season. But I think Partey coming in there had a big influence on the game because it helped us in the first phase of build-up. I thought Jimenez was trying to shadow block the passes into the second phase, and he had a problem now. He had two people, so it could go to Jorginho or to Partey. And Partey was highly influential in this game, which I know you're going to show on your numbers on that right-hand side. Obviously, Arsenal still focusing on their strong right-hand side, and they had very much the components on the right-hand side to work. So we got like Partey in the first phase in the build-up. Jesus, we know he can sort of like drop in here to overload. So I thought Arsenal overloaded their midfield because I think Wolves at the start thought they were going to have like a 3v3. I think Gomez was going to press onto Odegaard. Lemina was there in that roughly round where Jorginho would be, and Nunes would be picking up Xhaka. So they thought they had a 3v3, but in effect we had a 4v3. We had a 4v3 with Partey inverting, and Arsenal immediately started working the ball out to this right-hand side, either to Saka, and as we saw at the first goal, when Saka drifted into the false 9 position, Gabriel Jesus came out here. Hwang was now coming in field a lot. Gomez
dragged there by Partey.
Dragged it in by Partey, inverting, and that created the angle for him to drift it out to the right-hand side, and they targeted Bueno. Bueno on the left-hand side, had him 1v1 in wide areas where he was very uncomfortable all afternoon. It led to the first 2 goals, James. Gomez wasn't picking up Odegaard when he was running into the half space, and as a result, Arsenal were getting their lanes up high. Granit Xhaka arrived to score 2 goals in his what you think would be his final appearance, and Trossard was up here. So that's what I thought the key to the game. Arsenal flipped from a 4-1-5, which people thought they would build up into, back into their normal build-up shape of a 3-2-5, helped by Thomas Partey inverting, which dragged Hwang inside, and then created an overload here with Jorginho, and Partey able to switch the ball out wide right and get one-on-one with Bueno.
What annoyed me, and I've been hearing a lot of Arsenal fans say this, not everyone, a lot of Arsenal fans saying, I don't get this Partey thing, what's this new system, what's this new... It's not new, it's just a different way of doing what we've been doing before. And a lot of people, we know there's a lot of fans of Kieran Tierney who watch this show and watch the channel. Listen, I'm a big fan of Kieran Tierney myself. Now, could Kieran Tierney play in this Kivior, like left side of a back 3 position? Maybe, but actually Arteta has shown years back that he doesn't really want Tierney in this position. He's used him once in the FA Cup games when we won the FA Cup, but that's because we did a lot of defending to do, and that's because he would then become a left back when the shape would change when we were on the ball.
In the FA Cup, James, he played him in a back 3 with 2 wing backs.
Exactly.
So he had
a lot of protection, he had a lot of defending to do, but actually, for a lot of that season as well, he was playing Kolasinac in that back 3 because Kolasinac was probably deemed a little bit better on the ball than Kieran Tierney, who we wanted getting up and down. Anyway, the system and the team's evolved so much since then. But what we've got here, Kivior, makes total sense to use him there over Tierney, because the one thing we know about him, he's a centre-back / left-back, well, perfect for that position, and he's good on the ball, and he's probably more reliable on build-up than Tierney. And then you get Jorginho and Partey there, as you mentioned, so I don't really know why there's so much uproar about what Arteta was trying to do against. Listen, we were critical of but like we said, we were critical because Trossard was coming inside, because all our best players were out on the right-hand side, so Arsenal were a bit lopsided and not going down the left. They had a better balance. I thought Jorginho was really good in this game. But let's just have a little look at what I mean by it not changing that much. Because yes, Partey's a right-back. Yes, White's a centre-back. We were used to seeing Partey midfield. We're used to seeing White at right-back. But ultimately, the positions that they were getting in are exactly the same as they've been doing all season. These are some of Thomas Partey's passes. Look at where they're coming from. Really central defensive midfield areas. Look at, there's one there, there's one all the way up here. He was not just, look, we had so much of the, I say we had so much, we actually have only 50% of the ball, but so much of his work was done from central areas. Yeah, there's a cluster out there from right back, but generally a lot of his work was done from central areas. And then you compare it to Ben White, who was playing centre back, not right back, where he's played all season. Ben White, again, look how many of his passes have come from what I would call, a right centre back area, right of a back 3. Look how often he was coming into these areas trying to make passes. He wasn't just in this kind of cluster here, as a right centre-back, or even a little bit more here. There are ones from wider areas. Again, we've got one here, we've got one here, we've got loads there. So my point is, yes, Arteta's actually switched up quite a lot in terms of personnel, because now we've got Kivior at left-back, now we've got Partey at right-back, now we've got White in midfield, now Jorginho starting. But the ultimate plan is kind of still the same.
It is, and I thought what we saw a lot in the first half was Partey was inverting and coming in with little 1-2s,
Yeah.
moving them around, and then Ben White would go out to the right-hand side, and the space would be created for Ben White to receive the ball and then have a progressive carry. And he did it really well for the chance that was created with Granit, and he got his hat-trick when the ball came across and he skewed it wide. That came from Partey inverting, playing a 1-2 with two defenders, moving the ball swiftly, and that's the other thing about it, moving the ball quicker than they did at Nottingham Forest last week, because I thought we were really on it yesterday, and then creating the space for Ben White to sort of like come forward and start moving up on this right-hand side with Saka and Odegaard. I think coming back to the Kieran Tierney point, and I love the fact that he got a great send-off yesterday. He is a model professional, a very top quality left back in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think what Arteta doesn't like with Kieran Tierney is I think he wants control of the football. That's what Arteta wants. He wants to keep the ball and he wants us to pass the ball around and then wait for the opening up high. Kieran Tierney is of course a different type of left back who goes high and slings crosses in. I don't think that's how Arteta wants his team to play, and that's why I think ultimately Kieran Tierney is not part of the plans. But I think that's great points you made about the Partey passes, the way he was coming inside, inverting, getting on the ball. I think Wolves struggled with it. They changed formations back to a 3-4-3. But by the time they did it, I think the game was done for them.
Yeah.
We were out of sight.
Completely agree. And the player who got his send-off and had a really, I say a send-off because he's not 100% confirmed. But
if he'd been sent off, that would have been the send-off.
we just wanted a red card, Granit.
Yeah, I know. But, Granit, what a fantastic performance yesterday. And what a way, it couldn't have been scripted any better apart from the fact that he wasn't there on the day that we won the league, which looked likely we were going to do at one stage. And I think this has been like a rejuvenation for Granit Xhaka, where he was a few years ago when he got subbed off against Palace, when he threw down the armband. And you said yourself, Wenger seen more as a box-to-box. I mean, Arteta saw something in him the last year and a half that I think, in effect, has sort of like made his career now at Arsenal become almost like, he's going to be remembered now for the last season and a half more than the start of his career.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done. He saw something in Granit Xhaka, put him in this left-sided number 8 role, and he's flourished there now for a year and a half. And his 2 goals yesterday, in the box. Again, in the box, that's where he is. I mean, 4 of his first 14 goals for Arsenal were inside the box, only 4 of his first 14. But all his 9 goals for Arsenal in all competitions this season have come from inside the box. And there's his numbers that you can read out.
Yeah, he scored 2 of the 5 goals, didn't get an assist, but played 75 minutes, 2 shots, 22 passes, 8 out of 9 attacking third passes completed, 2 clearances, 92% pass completion rate, 1 tackle, 1 foul, and his numbers for the season, 9 goals in all competitions and 7 assists. That's going to be very hard to replace. And I said yesterday on the full-time show on AFTV that if I'm being really brutally honest, I reflect on Xhaka's whole time at Arsenal probably not that favourably. I actually think how long has he been here? 6 seasons, 7 seasons? Yeah, for 4 or 5 of them, I don't think he was very good, in my opinion. But at the same time, I don't think that's all his fault, because I think we've clearly learnt that managers should have used him differently. I also think Arsenal were going through a tough time, so it's a little bit on the club, it's a little bit on him, whatever. But the way he has ended his Arsenal career this season, but also I'll give him credit for last season, but mainly this season, he's flipped it so much that now I'm at a point where I'm saying, how do you replace a player like that? How do you replace 16 goal contributions in all comps from a player who gets forward, makes late runs into the box, gets goals, but also drops back alongside Thomas Partey or Jorginho, whoever it is, to make sure we've got that robust central midfield too that are very hard to play through. It's an amazing turnaround to the point where I'm now saying, I don't know how you... Listen, 100 million on Declan Rice, that helps. But we're talking squad, we're talking options as well. I think it's going to be difficult to replace.
Indeed, and I think the other thing about him is he's a leader. He's a leader in that dressing room. His experience has been crucial for the team this season, a young team evolving. But I think you're doing a slight disservice at the start of his Arsenal career. I understand, because I did a fan can on AFTV years ago where I said that when he was our marquee signing, he was making too many mistakes. He was being put in areas with lots of space around him. That's not his strength, and he was making bad tackles, getting sent off. But what you forget is, and he posted on his Instagram, he thanked the Arsenal fans over the weekend. He was in 2 FA Cup winning teams. And I think in one of those FA Cup finals was one of his best performances for Arsenal.
I think both he was brilliant.
Brilliant in both finals, yeah. But one in particular, where he was absolutely outstanding when we beat Chelsea in both finals. So I think, you know, he won trophies at Arsenal. I thought last year might be his last year at Arsenal, and he wanted to end on a high of getting the team back in the Champions League. This season, you know, it almost like a chance presented itself where almost we could win the Premier League for him, but we didn't quite manage it. But he has at least gone out getting the team back in the Champions League. So I think overall, I think he's yes, maybe at the very start, but you know, it's been a roller coaster for him. But I wouldn't say his first 2 or 3 years have been a complete disaster.
No, but I don't think they were a disaster.
And I don't
think he wasn't that good. I think the disciplinary issues were a problem with the red cards and all that. But I agree with you. I am one of the first to bring up those FA Cup finals. I don't think he gets enough credit for how brilliant he was, and that's a part of Arsenal's history. So let's give credit there. So no, you're absolutely right. If I were given the option right now, sign 2 midfielders and keep Xhaka, or sign 3 brand new midfielders, I think I'd sign 2 and keep Xhaka. Because I think it's going to be very hard to replace his experience, his personality in the dressing room, but his goals and his output and what he's given to this team this season.
And the fans yesterday made their views known, didn't they? Granit Xhaka, we want you to stay.
Listen, he's been on the brink of leaving before, and it's turned around. And
I won't be surprised if he stays, James. But you know, I think he'll go down in the history of the club. As being over these last 2 seasons, what he's done for the team, in helping Arteta evolve this young team. He's been a massive part of that group, and he's also won trophies, 2 Community Shields and 2 FA Cups.
It'll be very interesting to see how he's reflected on in a couple of years' time. Let's have a little look at the goal and getting back to what Arsenal did so well, because you can't see Gabriel at the top there, everyone on screen, apologies, but you can see White and Kivior, and you can see the back 3 shape, and this time actually Partey's so inverted that even Jorginho's dropped out more to the right-hand side. But again, you see the lanes are 5. Everything we talk about, we don't just make it up. It's there. We can all see it. And but what's very interesting was how often Saka was dropping into the central areas and it was Jesus pulling wide. And you were wondering whether maybe that was something that we're looking ahead to for next season. We'll talk about that in a little second. But it's the Partey ball out to Jesus. That's brilliant. He does really, really well because he covers a lot of ground, runs at Bueno before dropping the shoulder. Xhaka's making the run to the back post. Semedo loses him at that point, and he is there to get a good header off Sarr and into the back of the net. But I'm contradicting myself now, because I just was saying that I didn't get why Arsenal fans didn't understand that, yes, it's Partey inverting from right back, but ultimately we're doing the same things. I will say, though, that I think Arteta also has shown a couple of things in this game that perhaps looking ahead to next season. Now, even though the shape might still be a 3-2-5 or a 3-2-4-1 or whatever, Partey inverting as the right back rather than left back is interesting. I also think how often we saw Jesus out on the right-hand side running at players as well, with Saka coming inside. I think that's something that perhaps might be in preparation for next season. There have been reports and links to a more physical, robust number 9, more of a presence, a 6'2" striker. Maybe he's trying to get Jesus getting into wider areas to see if there's something in that.
I think it's something I don't think goals have been a problem for the team this season, though. To be honest, though, we've scored 88. League goals, which is a fantastic number, and the goals have been shared around the team. Gabriel Jesus, 11 in 24 games is a reasonable return, but I think, and I pointed out to you when I did some research on him, his expected non-penalty goals, that's goals without scoring penalties, XG, is way down. It's something like minus 3.39.
So that suggests he's missing a lot of chances.
He's missing a lot of chances. Only, I think, Havertz of Chelsea and Calvert-Lewin of Everton of strikers have got are less clinical than Jesus. So he does miss a lot of chances. So, and I think 5 of his 7 seasons in the Premier League, he's been below his expected goals in terms of taking his chances. And I think that's one of the reasons why Manchester City might have moved him on, because he couldn't get in above Aguero, who used to score goals, for example. But for all that, we've lauded him all season, what he's brought to the team. It's not just about goals with him, it's about what he's offered. But interestingly, at Manchester City, James, he played on the right-hand side a lot, didn't he? Even when they...
Especially last season.
And especially last season, when they didn't have a forward. So you'd think he was sort of like... They played a false 9 with him out sometimes on wide right, so he can play that role. And we talked about last week on the show about the minutes that Bukayo Saka's played this year, and the fact that we haven't given him enough rest. Could that be an option next season if Arsenal were to get a physical striker? At times we needed to change it up, I thought, and he could play with a physical striker, and Saka could come out the team or get taken off, and he could come out on that right hand side. It's certainly an option, isn't it?
Yep, I completely and utterly agree. And you mentioned him there, Bukayo Saka. I just think it'd be wrong of us not to touch on his improvement in terms of output, because he's now hit 25 goals and assists. This is actually in all comps, to be fair, the numbers here, but 25 goals and assists in the league this season. That matches Leroy Sané's really impressive numbers. A young Ronaldo got to that as well.
And Sadio Mane.
There you go. So he's up there with some world class. And
he's only 21. He's only 21.
Unbelievable. So I mean, he's only 21, and look how many seasons of football he's played for Arsenal already. 4 goals and 12 assists in his first season. Amazing that in his first season was the most assists he's got in all comps for Arsenal. But he was doing it from left back and left wing, so that probably favoured him a little bit more. 7 goals and 10 assists in the 2021 season, a campaign to forget. But he was doing his thing. 12 goals and 7 assists in the 21-22 season, and then he bettered both those tallies with 15 and 11. I mean, so impressive.
What I take from that, though, James, is the increase in output in goals every season, 4, 7, 12, 15. His goal yesterday was a magical finish. The way, a great combination play with Odegaard, the way he rolls it and takes it inside.
All in one motion.
One motion. It was a brilliant piece of skill.
Unbelievable.
15 goals, an unbelievable output for him. And I'm so glad that we've signed him on again on a new contract.
Well, I think he needed this moment because there have been questions around the contract. I'm not going to pretend I don't have questions around it. I do, but don't question his loyalty for 1 second. Don't question his potential for 1 second. Don't question, I don't know, like his commitment to the cause, to him being as good a player as he can be, to us having as good a career as he can, to doing as well as he can at Arsenal. I don't question any of that. And last season, it wasn't last season. Is it last season? No, it's still this season. I'm wondering when does the game before the end of the season become last season?
We're still talking about this season.
Fine. So this season, he's been phenomenal, and that goal was just a reminder to everyone that is world class. I'm not saying he's world class. That debate has started, but it's the rolling of the foot and setting it up perfectly, and then lashing it.
Yeah.
Very Mo Salah. Very just clinical. I don't need much time. I don't need many touches. I don't need to think about this. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Unbelievable. He needed that reminder. I think some fans needed to be reminded of how good he could be.
Yeah, he was fantastic yesterday. I think, last few weeks he's struggled. I think he's been, and I wonder whether he would play yesterday, actually. I thought there was reports in the week that he was struggling with an injury. So I was so pleased to see him playing yesterday. And he was a joy to watch yesterday. Yeah. Just everything about him, and a wonderful goal.
Yeah, he was. And actually, his form hadn't been the best coming into this season. But I think it is about getting depth and getting options and being able to help him while knowing that he wants to play as much football as possible. But well done, Bukayo Saka. What a campaign he's had. And we're going to touch on him and other players as well a little bit more next week when we look at the season review. But let's go into the roundup stats. Let's look back at, your best stats from this. I can give you one stat. You might have it already, so apologies. That the 88 Premier League goals we've scored this season is the most ever in a Premier League campaign. I mean, that is an unbelievable stat, right? Go on, take it away.
Take it away, James. All right, so round up stats for this week, James. Arsenal scored 5 on the last day of the league campaign for the second season in a row. Last year they beat Everton 5-1.
Yeah.
Bukayo Saka became the first Arsenal player in the competition's history to appear in every Premier League game in back-to-back seasons. There's another unbelievable achievement from Bukayo there. Arsenal had 4 players this season: Aaron Ramsdale, Gabriel, Benjamin White and Saka, to appear in every game in a league season. The first time since 1990-91, when Seaman, Dixon, Winterburn and Bold appeared in every game in that Arsenal title-winning season. Aaron Ramsdale played every single minute in the Premier League this season. The first Arsenal player to do it since a goalkeeper back in 2011-12. Any idea who that goalkeeper was?
Yeah, don't tell me.
Chesney, spot on, mate. Chesney back in 2011-12. Leonardo Trossard registered 12 assists, 10 for Arsenal in leagues this season. Only Kevin De Bruyne with 16 has had more assists in the Premier League this season. What a sign-in Trossard has been for Arsenal. Bukayo Saka equalled Sadio Mane, as you said, and Leroy Sané's highest goal assist in a season, 25. That's 14 goals and 11 assists in a Premier League at the age of only 21. Arsenal went the whole season without having a player sent off since 1989-1990. And finally, James, I just want to finish on this one. Arsenal finished 24 points ahead of Spurs, the biggest gap between the two North London teams since the 2007-8 campaign, when Arsenal finished 37 points clear of the trophy dodgers.
Wow. Oh, the trophy dodgers. Listen, get your jokes in because the season's over now. And who knows how good or bad they'll be next year. So enjoy it. Send in your best Tottenham jokes in the comments below. Everyone, that has been it for the Tactical Insight Show. Well, it's not really, because we're going to be back next week for a match review, but for a season review. But in terms of reviewing a specific game, being here on a Monday, you know, delivering our sort of thoughts the day after, a couple of days after, that's it till August. And it's been like, we've enjoyed it. Genuinely 85% of shows.
Yeah, we've enjoyed all of them. We've had a great season watching this team. I've been privileged and proud to have broke down the way this team has played the season, James. An immense thank you to you for the season, for what you do, your talent in presenting the show. And also just a shout out to the backroom boys, Joe and Brennan, who go under the radar, the work they do every week for us.
Very true.
It's you know, it's a team effort. I've really enjoyed being part of this season, and I've enjoyed and been privileged to follow Arsenal. We haven't quite delivered the Premier League title, but you know, next season is a new season. Let's hope that Mikel gets the backing he wants and needs in the transfer market, and we can go again next season. Yeah, I echo all of that. And a big thank you to you, of course. You said your thank you to us, which was very, very humble and lovely of you. But a big thank you. You don't know the amount of work Graham puts in the background as well. So leave your lovely comments for Graham as well, and the amazing work he's done, and the production team, as Graham mentioned. Now, I've got a question for everyone as we start to look ahead to next week, reviewing the season, but there is going to be a video as well at some point in this channel looking ahead to what Arteta's Arsenal might look like next season. Things have evolved. Zinchenko arrived, he came in, created a box midfield, creating that double pivot with Partey. Will Arteta look for something different? We sort of explored a little bit what that could be here, but I want to know what you guys think. So let us know in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and don't go anywhere. Yes, the season's over, but the transfer window is opening, and Arsenal, I am sure, are going to be very, very busy, and we've got it all covered here on AFTV, so we'll see you very, very soon.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.